Welcome to the Bridge of Two podcast.
I can't.
Welcome to the Bridge of Two podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
And
as always.
Honor Spren.
Yes.
And Dishonor Spren.
Oh. Are those a thing?
Sprenivodium, maybe.
Wait, Spren.
Yes. Oh.
I like Dishonor Spren. We should email Brandon Sanders and tell him we should change it to Dishonor Spren.
Still can be a Dishonor Spren sometimes. Your cat.
She's a sweetheart. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, how you doing?
I was about to ask you that. Come on now. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm just giddy
Had a good couple weeks
to be recording. Yeah.
I'm also excited to be recording.
Yeah, good couple weeks. I guess I'll talk about what I've actually been doing.
Yeah, anything new, anything fun, interesting? What worlds have you delved into?
Ooh.
You spelunker you into the art of sci-fi and fantasy.
Sci-fi spelunking, fantasy spelunking, sci-fi lunking, fantasy. Anyway.
Stop combining things. One of them's going to sound weird. You just know it.
I know, that's why I stopped. I was like, no. We have to get this out of the way.
Now I'm thinking of words that are funny.
Like how you're trying to think of how you could make it sound weird. Okay, I've
already found a few that sound. I won't say them. This is a family-friendly podcast.
It is safe for the little ears.
I think so.
Except for occasionally.
I think occasionally.
So, I finished Galactic Outlaws, the second book in Galaxy's Edge series.
Very nice, very nice.
Just the other night.
What'd you think?
I was on a long drive home from DeLand.
What are you doing in DeLand?
At that county council meeting.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that's where all that happens at.
Yeah. How appropriate on the way home I listened to the death of a character. I won't say who, but
in the beginning of a death of a lot of things.
Yeah, it seems like it. It seems like things aren't going to go well for the galaxy.
I mean, it is a dumpster fire, so
it's gonna sounds like it's gonna get even more dumpster fiery. Some very old person, very old astronaut.
I actually don't remember, so that's okay. I'm glad I'm rereading. I'm re-listening to it.
He's like just gonna be throwing gasoline on the galaxy, apparently.
As one does.
To save it, as
spoilers, by the way. Spoilers.
I mean, that's
it's a very vague spoiler.
Yeah, it's a teaser.
There you go. Teasing. That's good. I like it. Teaser.
If you want to find out.
But you thought it was good. You excited to read more?
I did. Yeah, absolutely. Very interesting. Seeing more of Tyrus Rex in this one. The epilogue at the end of the first book. That character just seemed super amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And to get a lot of viewpoint chapters from him in here, and a really good story, character arc for him in this one was very cool. I really enjoyed his character. He's kind of that grizzled old general. He's like Pappy on steroids in the first book, which you didn't get to see much of Pappy in the first book, what he can do. But
which is crazy, thinking that Rex was once Pappy's
LT,
right?
Yeah,
LT or captain or general or something like that.
It's LT. I just remember the epilogue. I'm calling him LT. But oh no, you're right.
I think it was general. I think he was still general right to that point.
Yeah, you're right. It was general. The LT, Pappy was the LT I'm thinking of. He was the LT that smacked that had the sidebar like ripping into his throat or whatever.
Yes.
But Tyrus Rex just has seen a lot of things, and he's trying to save this girl whose father was killed, who wants revenge, and she wants to go down the same road he went, and he's like, no, don't. Bad idea. But then he doesn't really know, because of who he is, he doesn't really know how to save someone from that. He doesn't know how to pull someone back from that. And so, that's just an interesting dynamic between him and that little girl. And then
You have my favorite character of all time.
Keel.
I love
Captain Keel.
And Ravi.
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 They were very fun duo there.
I love all the times that Ravi's just like 14%.
Yes.
Like,
he says the
like
percentage.
89%. Just like,
Yeah, he actually had like a line that was a little near the end that was a little, I don't want to say it wasn't tear jerking, but it was like a little twinge of emotion there whenever he says, something like 4%. But there's still hope or something.
Listening through it again too. Like I'm picking up a lot more things that I didn't pick up on the first time because I kind of blasted through those when I read them. But like listen to it again. It's just like there's a lot of things. Like the way that they write is just like they just write things in that at first seem like just mistakes, like that it just doesn't make sense in the galaxy or doesn't make sense in the story. But like it ends up coming together.
Like foreshadowing type stuff
to an extent. But like it's like an example, like Tyrus Rex. Like you know about him and his past and everything like that. But the way that they write, like you would assume after the epilogue that Tyrus Rex is dead. Yeah. And then you start the book off 10 years later or something like that. Yeah. And Tyrus Rex is still alive. And he just makes certain comments and he just does certain things and people say certain things that are just like, there's no way that this is like legit. Like this is just an accident. Same thing with Ravi. I just read a thing and you won't know about it right now, but you'll probably find out a little bit later on. But like, there's just some things that happen that like when you read it, you're like, there's no way. Like this doesn't make sense. And then like, even Keel makes some comments about like stuff with Ravi that you're like, that doesn't make any sense, Yeah. But it actually does all connect. I don't know, the way they write it, like they write things expecting you to just be like, just accept it. And I kind of like that. But they do explain it later on. It's kind of interesting.
I love the author, I guess it's two guys that have written these books. I love how I don't know if it's the voice of the author is so, I don't know if melodramatic's the right word. Like it's very serious, very dramatic about, they'll just say lines like the galaxy is a dumpster fire, or a little girl shouldn't have to, little girl asking questions she shouldn't have to ask on the edge of the galaxy, stuff like that. That's kind of like overly dramatic, but it really works in this book, in this series. Something that could come off as almost cheesy, but because of just the world that. And
I also think that's what they're going for.
Right, absolutely.
They're it's not just like something like it's different. There's a difference too between cheesiness where like it's accidentally cheesy and then other where it's intentional. They're intentionally like doing this. Like they have intentionally pretty much basically like stated like this is like Star Wars. Like they're just influenced by Star Wars a lot, so this is why it's heavily influenced.
Well, and it's part, if you buy into it, if you read it and you get kind of immersed in the world and you buy into it, then it's exactly the right tone. Exactly. It strikes the exact right tone. So
and it's exactly what they're going for. And
but I just, there'll just be lines like that you'll just, listen to and you're like, that line can't work in just anything. It can work here, but it can't just work in anything. Yeah. But Captain Keel was really cool. There's a big twist with him. Pretty big twist with him, I think. My brother-in-law was reading it, and he was like, "You didn't see that? You didn't see that coming?" I could tell. Like he's read a lot of like sci-fi, especially fantasy, and he just sees things coming a mile away.
I'm pretty sure my first time reading it, I didn't see it until the end, which is insane because there's a lot. Reading through it now, I'm like, there's a lot of hints to it. Yeah, but I don't remember realizing the twist until the end. For some reason. And like I said, probably
there is a very blatant thing said at the end, but there's also a little over midway through, there's like a statement about Captain Keel putting on some armor and alluding to him maybe being another character. So, but that was kind of hard. That kind of blew me away a little bit too, because that character, the way that character talks and the way especially in the
very different from the first book compared to the second book.
Right. You're like, wait, that's him?
And that's why I think when I was reading through the first time, I like didn't catch on because it just, and I wasn't even listening to the audiobook. I was actually reading it, and the way even reading it, like the character was a very different tone than what I'm used to with how that character was portrayed. Right. Yeah.
Which I think
I'll be interested to hear what you have to say about his character going forward, because he's got an interesting little storyline of going on as the books progress, and I think the third book, part of it takes place at the same time as book one.
Yeah, my brother-in-law said that some of the third book is like happening at the same time. So, which is interesting. Yeah, we'll have to talk. We'll have to do an episode.
Yeah.
Once you finish it and just get into it, maybe full spoiler it, and talk about it, because I definitely have more thoughts on his character and speculating and stuff. I also watched a few episodes of Star Wars Visions that just dropped.
Did
yesterday 22nd September, and I've been enjoying it. It's different, but it's aiming to be different. It's not canon. It's not really even trying to fit into any canon.
Yeah.
It's just trying to take Star Wars concepts and do a spin on them, and in an anime, some type of anime style animation. And the first episode's cool. I was thinking, because the inspiration for Star Wars, some of the inspiration came from a Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
And so to have it like a samurai setting,
I really liked the whole samurai setting in that, because I've watched the first episode.
Right.
I really liked that setting in the first one. It was just, definitely felt very...
and a very samurai story too.
Yeah,
like a wandering sort of samurai type character in there. So that was a fun one, and they're all very short, so they're very easy to just let it keep rolling if you have the time. So I watched 3. The second one was good. It was definitely different, a whole different tone from the first one.
Yeah, I'm like halfway through the second one, and I already could tell it's just a completely different tone.
I love the art style in the second one, like the just how rich the colors were and everything.
But that's what's cool about it too, is it's done by different companies.
Every single one is a different studio.
Or I think 2 companies do
more than one.
So
Yeah, I think
there's
like 7 studios, but there's like 10
7
episodes.
studios, 7 or 8 studios and 10 episodes. But I think that's cool. They just kind of gave these guys free reign to kind of do their thing, and it's real. I just like, as an art person and as a drawer, I really like the like watching the animation and how they're making it. Like that first one's animation is also obviously very different from the second one. And it's just cool to see. I always enjoy seeing how different people do it, and if it's in the Star Wars concept, I'm obviously gonna love it. So
Right.
So I'm enjoying it. I've watched the first one. I've enjoyed it so far. And I had half the second one.
Let me know when you get to the third episode, because that one is almost like a what if episode. It's not, because it's very, because it's once again not trying to fit into any canon. It's not like saying everything's the same except if we just change this one thing. It's not doing that. It's like, to me, it seems like it's a different spin on Luke and Leia. They're not named Luke and Leia, but when you watch it, it's very clear. It's like a spin on the idea of twins, force-sensitive twins. That one was really wild, like anime wild, which now the more I think about it, I really love it.
That's a big reason why I like anime. It's so over. It's unapologetically over the top.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of how I view, and that's I think why I like episode 9 a little bit more than others. Is I view it as just a live action anime, because it's just very anime with like just over the top with everything. And if I view it that way, it's just like, it's enjoyable. It's not like a best movie. But it's enjoyable.
That's a good point. I could totally imagine.
Freaking shooting giant lightning in the space that disrupts all the ships. That is the most anime thing in the world.
Absolutely.
Like, strike me down and you will become all the Sith. Like, these are just straight. JJ was just like, what anime can I make this like? Or how much like anime can I make this? So that's why I do like anime for that reason. Unapologetically over the top. Almost like so many animes are like that. And it's great.
And just the emotion, like the emotion of the characters, just at a constant flux from one end to another. And, but it was definitely a fun one. Probably my favorite so far.
I think we've talked about before. There's like very few things that have made me like choke up a little bit during like a book or a movie. I think Rhythm of War was one. Episode 3 is one.
Lord of the Rings,
and Lord of the Rings, sort of not as bad as the other two, but then like there's definitely, I'm trying to think of what.
There's a fourth?
Yes, but I cannot remember it now. But it's an anime. It was from an anime. Not to get me choked up, but like it definitely made me feel like emotions. I cannot remember what anime it was though, to save my life. But that was one of them too.
Juwoo, if you're listening and you know the
answer,
answer,
I don't think he knows either.
Then email bridgeof2@gmail.com.
Shout out to Jiwoo again.
Shout out to Jiwoo.
I don't think he knows because I don't. Actually, shout out to Jiwoo because you haven't texted me in like months.
Yeah. If you listen to this, text me too.
Yeah, sure.
Text me first.
Cool. Well, that sounds like fun. Sounds like you've been anything else you got going on? You've been doing?
I've been writing, but.
Ooh. What are you writing? More your book?
Yeah. I mean, it's it's basically working on the revision of what I already have.
I can't wait to be able to read it.
What I'm basically having to look at now is like the things that just gaping holes that have to be filled for things to make sense, and looking at there's like sections where I rewrote a scene multiple times and I was trying different things and then trying to make that into one coherent scene. So that's something cool. I was working on recently, which was hard because I was like, okay, I have to kind of start rewriting this and then I can fill in what fits, take what fits from what I've already written, but I kind of have to start because I needed to remove a character from this scene because I changed how I want that character to interact with the main character.
Is it hard to do to kind of just like restart or to like get rid of the character?
It is. I mean, the character's still going to be around, but he's just changing how he's going to be in the story. And so, yeah, it is hard because it's like you're constantly changing. The characters are constantly changing. And so you kind of have to give up to make the story work, to make it better, to make it be what it needs to be. You have to give up what a character, that you imagine that character and kind of
make him fit with the story.
Make him fit in a different way. And
well, it's a good thing to be able to do though, because same thing with art. Like sometimes you'll be doing a drawing and you're like, this isn't working, and you just have to erase the whole thing or erase a whole section. I've done that with some stuff, and it's hard to do for me because if I get started, I'm like, no, I must finish because I got started. I put so much work into it. It's like, well, don't be so married to your idea.
Right.
Be willing to change it up if need be.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes you'll take more time by trying to
make this fit
to fit in something that just isn't fitting because at the time maybe it worked, but then as the stuff grew up around it doesn't work. So you have to sometimes be willing to just be like, okay, rewrite this scene.
Nice.
So, but
is your short story out there in the ether?
It's out there on a website from whenever I entered it into the contest. So it's out there, published there. You mean like out there to like purchase or something?
No, just like is it out there like to be read? Like can people go like look it up and read it if they want to?
Yeah, they absolutely can. And if people are interested, I could definitely put a link out there.
Be on the lookout for that, guys. I've read it. It's a good short story.
Yeah,
I actually have it's an anthology book, and I have that anthology book sitting up with my Brandon Sanderson books. The only other book that will ever sit with Brandon Sanderson. So you better. That means a lot.
Maybe someday that can be replaced by the actual
it will
novel. Right.
I'm gonna have a whole shelf devoted to Josh Allred. What are you talking about?
That'd be cool. I gotta start with get this first one done. But what about you? What have you been up to?
Same old, a lot of work. A lot of school and work, as always. Started up. There's so many books, I don't even know if I'm halfway or not, but the New Jedi Order series. I'm like the 7th or 8th book in.
Okay. Out of how many?
I want to say there's almost like 20. There's a lot.
Wow.
There's a lot. And they're all written by the different authors and stuff like that. It's, they're kind of split into like parts, like two, like the book I'm on right now has 2 parts to it. There's a book 1 and a book 2.
Okay.
And they kind of follow a storyline, but all of them follow an overarching storyline.
Now that's not the series that ends with like Jaqen and Jaina, and no.
It is the beginning. It ends with the beginning of that series.
Okay. What's that
I think I know what you're talking about. Oh crap. I could tell you. I haven't. I have a few of them on my bookshelf. I don't remember exactly what the series is called.
Okay.
But that series takes place right after the New Jedi Order series.
It's in the back. It's like in the back of my rolling around in the back of my mind. It might come to the surface here.
Yeah. So I've been reading that. That's been fun. I picked that because it's been like almost 2 years since I've dropped off on it.
Yeah.
And they're easy books to read, and so I don't have to like. It's not like I'm reading Stormlight Archive. Like I can do schoolwork, but then also take 30 minutes to read a few pages or a few chapters or whatever.
Because there you can get through.
And it's enjoyable. I'm kind of back on a Star Wars kick a little bit, and I love that. That story is. all those books that I've read so far for that have been great. I mean, like, some people don't like it, and I can understand why, because it's very weird with the Star Wars universe to an extent. But I love it, and I think it's great. I think it's very emotionally. There's a lot of emotional things happening. I mean, it just like, if you don't know what the New Jedi Order is, it kind of takes place. I don't remember how long, but pretty far after, a decent bit after the Battle of
Yavin.
Yavin. No, yes. Even after the Battle of Endor, the New Republic is a thing. Luke has started his new Jedi Order. Jaken and Jaina, which are Han and Leia's children, and the old, legends, what I consider true canon. They're grown, like they're like grown up. They're like 18, I think, something like that. They're both Jedi, Jedi. Anakin is the third child, and he's under. I think he's trained under.
I forgot there was an Anakin. That's cool.
But so they're in it. But
Shout
then
out to Anakin.
Exactly. So they have like an alien species actually come from outside of the galaxy.
Is that the Yuzong?
The Yuzong Vong, and they're like devoid of the Force. Like they can't be felt in the Force.
Oh.
They're like unaffected by the Force. And basically the premise is they just run train on the galaxy. Like they're just taking planet after planet. They're like a very warlike society, very pain and killing and everything like that, and showing strength. And if you can imagine, like with it's definitely, in my opinion, one of the more darker storylines in Star Wars. Take that for what you will. I mean, Anakin killing kids is pretty dark, but like this is a pretty dark storyline. I mean, read the first book and you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll read the first book and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay. What's the first book called?
Ooh. Yeah. It's written by R.A. Salvatore.
Quiz.
It's written by R.A. Salvatore.
What? R.A. Salvatore?
I know, right? Hold up. I have it on my phone. It's written by R.A. Salvatore, the first book.
I did not know.
And he does something insane in it.
As only R.A. Salvatore can do.
So give it a read if you like Star Wars and are curious. It is called Vector Prime.
Okay. Now I want to read it.
And so it's good. If you read the first book, by the end of it, you'll probably want to keep reading. That was kind of how it was. My dad told me about it when I first started it, and I was like, I'll check it out.
What happened?
No, he just told me about the book.
Okay.
He's like, it's really good. And I knew R.A. Salvatore because I've read his other books.
Okay.
And I was like, I'll give it a check out. And yeah, it was awesome. So give it a read, and it just continues on. I mean, things are just going from bad to worse. I think more things happen. Like I said, things that happen in this series lead to what happened with Jaken and Jaina in that next series.
I think I remember what that series was called. It's called Legacy of the Force.
Yes. No. Yeah. Maybe. I don't think so.
No.
I think Legacy of the Force actually comes after.
Really? Or was that a book in the series? Maybe.
I can actually probably find out for you in like 5 seconds.
I just remember when those books were coming out. I think Karen Travis wrote one.
She wrote 3, I think.
Yeah. I think she wrote like a pretty pivotal book in that series, like near the end of that series.
You know who's in that series, right?
Who's in it?
Yeah, if you've read Republic Commando.
Oh yeah, is it one of the Nulls? Because
you're right, it is Legacy of the Force. I was thinking Fate of the Jedi.
Boom!
Look at you go.
Hey, I got some. I don't know what I got. I'm looking for the word.
But yeah. So anyway, long story short, it's fun. Give it a read. Definitely check it out. I'm on book. I can't tell you what book I'm on. I'm on book 7. I'm on book 7 of like 20.
35.
I think like 20.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Can you imagine Brandon Sanderson is gonna write?
That's all of them.
Like more books than that, and how long he writes books? Oh wow. Like his books.
Yeah, those books are super long. So yeah, so that's been fun. I started that like a week ago. Playing my games, still playing Star Wars: The Old Republic on my Sith. That's just been. I can go jump on that for like an hour or two. As my wife's at work. That's been fun. I haven't played as much Mass Effect this week just because the last 2 weeks haven't sat down and played it. I'm on the second one though, and that's game's always fun.
Is there anything coming out soon we need to talk about? I remember we talked about Knights of the Old Republic remake last time, and since then there's been a teaser, it was a very short teaser.
Oh yeah, it's been actually like officially announced.
But it was officially announced, short teaser, some more stuff, a little bit more stuff.
I'm hesitant about it. which I've mentioned to you, just because I've heard that.
You weren't last time we talked.
Yes.
I was the hesitant.
This time I'm a little hesitant because I've heard that the company, I think it's Aspyr that's doing it. The same company that's remade all the Star Wars games. Like if you have a Star Wars game on the Switch, like Republic Commando, I think Aspyr is when that remade it. Knights of the Republic on the phone was remade by
right. Okay.
Not remade, but like remastered, ported by Aspyr. But I heard they're kind of doing like a from the ground up type of thing.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like.
Fine. But if they start changing the story to fit with canon or start changing the story, the game has already got such a great story. It's gonna be. It
seemed like it would seem to the average mind, to a mind of common sense, that you have something here that, sure, update the combat systems, update this, that, and the other, maybe flesh out certain things a little more in the story.
You don't even necessarily need to flesh out maybe make the combat system like Dragon Age Origins, and then just revamp the graphics. And I think you would sell so many copies.
Yeah, because I just know that if they're gonna invest a lot of money in it to remake it, then they're gonna put their mark on it as far as the story goes. And
that's fine, but it's just got such a good story already.
Well, I think they could still keep the tentpoles of the story.
We'll see what happens.
The core pieces of the story, and still not mess it up. I think that's possible.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see. It definitely depends. I'm curious, and I'll get it and play. Well, I'll get it if I have a PS5.
Yeah.
Or
I heard they announced that it was going to be a PC.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide, but it was going to be released on other consoles later on. It's specifically a launch exclusive to PS5. But I don't even know if my PC can run it, so I don't think that's PC.
Give you for me with a PC, give me time to let the dust settle and see what people are saying about it before I throw $60 at it.
There is a new Star Wars game that got announced too. Did you hear about this one? Oh, what's it called? Star Wars Hunters?
Oh, yes.
It looks very
Hunters.
Yeah.
It looks like it's a
almost Overwatchy.
Yeah, it's like a some kind of team-based.
But it's got nothing to do with any of the main line. None of the characters or anyone we've ever met before. I mean, it looks interesting. I'm gonna play it. It's on the Switch, and I think it's gonna be on the Switch. Okay. And I will 100% get on the Switch and I'll play it. It looks fun. I liked Overwatch when it came out.
Yeah.
For a little bit. So into Star Wars, I mean, I'll get it and play it. I'm not extremely excited about it, but it looked cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It looked cool.
I think a couple other things there are other things that are on the fringes of being announced. I've heard other single player Star Wars games. I know Jedi Fallen Order 2 is in the works. That's already been announced. I don't think of any other games or anything that's coming out that I can think.
There's a Gollum game coming out?
Yes, I did.
Don't know what to think about that.
Very, very stealthy game, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I personally probably won't get it unless I hear good things about it.
I mean, I'm sure at some point I'll play it.
Maybe when it goes on sale.
Because unless I just hear it's just dreadful.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of doubt that it's going to be dreadful, but is it going to be weird playing as Gollum? What are you going to be doing?
It'll be interesting. I don't know. It'll be curious. I'll be curious. It'll definitely gonna be a stealth game
into Mordor
for sure.
For some reason.
I guess we'll find out as we get closer.
Getting tortured.
Lord of the Rings also just released a new iPhone game.
Oh yeah.
I picked it up. I haven't played it yet.
I think it's like a.
It's like a Clash of Clans type of game, I think.
Yeah, it's not gonna be anything I'm gonna.
I'm gonna check it out just to check it out because why not?
Okay.
But we'll see.
Maybe we should both check it out and we should talk about it. And
okay,
we could,
sure.
If it's bad, we can just rake it over the coals.
Sounds good to me. We'll let everybody know next episode.
It's probably, if it's like any of those types of games, it's going to be very cash grab, just really want to get you to buy all the 99-cent $5 packs,
But
level up quicker.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, not much else is going on. There's nothing I can think of as well that I'm super hyped for as far as video games go, or even TV shows for that matter, or movies.
Wheel Time Show comes out in November.
Yes, and, that's true.
That's something I'm now just remembering. I want to finish the first. I've not finished the first book in that series, The Eye of the World, and I'd like to finish that and check the show out.
It's a good book. Good series.
Brandon Sanderson and the Robert Jordan's wife have been consulting on it, and Brandon Sanderson said on his one of his live streams recently, he said he doesn't really like to talk about it too much. He just likes to sit back, but he did say he thinks it's going to be a good show. He said there's an episode he thinks is a 10 out of 10 script wise, like he read the scripts and stuff.
Well, I'm excited for that.
So that could be good. Could be not good.
We'll see. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I've also done a little bit of writing, some world building.
I've been happy to see you get the bug.
Yep. So mine will be different than Josh's. I'm not gonna write a book. I'm gonna try and make it more comic book wise. Use some of my art, but that's no one expect that anytime soon. It's gonna be wild because I gotta get my drawing skills up a little bit more.
Well, you got time because you've got to work on the story too. So
yes, so that's kind of that's why I'm starting now too. As I'm working on my art skills and then also building up the story.
Yeah, just keep working on it. Keep working at it. I mean, I've been working at what I'm working on for several years, but whenever I look back, sometimes it'll feel like I've not made any progress, and then I'll look back to what stuff from a year ago or whatever, and realize
you made a lot of progress.
I made a lot of progress actually.
Inktober is about to start up.
Yeah.
I think I'm actually going to try and do it, and this will be the first year that I've
Are you going to do Cosmere?
I'm going to do the one that you sent me, that Cosmere. Except I'm going to put my own little spin on it.
Do it.
I think I'm gonna join two things together with my artwork.
I'm going to bug you about it.
Go do it.
Until it really starts to feel like I might be annoying you, and then I'll stop.
Do it.
I'm not that confrontational.
But yeah, I think I might try and put my own little spin on. I mean, I'm going to do that Cosmere one that you sent me, but I'm going to put my own little spin on it and see.
Okay.
Maybe I'm going to combine two. I think I'm going to do a Stormlight Star Wars crossover. Okay. Obviously.
Kind of like...
but I've already got a few ideas.
Kind of like the guy who does the Lord of the Rings Star Wars crossovers?
To an extent, yeah. Maybe not as serious as him, because that guy's amazing.
Well, in Inktober, you have to kind of...
I don't have a long time to do art.
Right.
I got a day.
You gotta do it every day.
It's gonna be kind of scratchy, pretty not great. But I have a few, already looking at some of the prompts. I've already got a few ideas for things, and that's what kind of got me on the thought of maybe I'll cross those over. So, but yeah, other than that, that's pretty much what I've been up to. Nice.
Well, do we want to talk about the D&D last D&D session?
Yeah, we can go over it real quick. Just trying to think. My brain blinked there for a minute. So the last one we left off on was in that little tower.
Oh, it ended with the key.
The key and the statue disappearing.
Yeah. So you guys were in the tower that looked like it was like Mind Flayer worship place, and you got poisoned and opened the key hole. And what'd you do? What happened next?
Obviously, we barged into a door.
Yeah. Well, there's like a hidden room, right?
I thought there was a door sitting right there.
Well, you opened the door, and then we
opened the door, and it was like a room full of like crates and shelves and that. And we did find a hidden door. Yeah. And that hidden door led a little bit, led into like a tunnel. Mm-hmm. And in that tunnel, we heard munching. We heard
there was a pool, bubbling pool.
Off to the right,
and then to the left, you heard some feasting.
And we turned over, and it was just this disgusting monster eating a headless person.
Yeah, took him out pretty quick, but then
he was easy. And I just, my character decided he wanted to go inspect the pool,
the bubbling pool, in the Mind Flayer temple.
Mm-hmm, bubbling pool in the Mind Flayer temple, and of course, this is the one time I'm going to roll really crappy on my dex, even though I have really high dex.
I think I said that there was things swimming around, lots of things.
Yeah, and I looked closer.
Got closer, and then it was basically a Mind Flayer tadpole jumped out of the water to try and turn him into a Mind Flayer.
Did I fail that?
You failed.
And then someone saved me?
You failed, and then Caleb punched your face.
That's right. I got on my face, and Caleb punched it.
And smashed it on your face.
That's right. And then I think we had Steven's character throw a fireball at it.
And then, Steven's character was like, I'm going to try to kill all of them. Only what I think. Yeah, what I forget what if it was fire or ice, but he tried to.
I think it was fire.
He tried to do it, and you're in a tunnel underground, so there's a lot of sound happens.
Yeah, this attracted a lot of people.
So it attracted everyone that I had put throughout that little prison area. You guys got to later.
Of course.
So you had to fight them all at once.
And we handled them expertly.
How many was it total? I think it was 11 enemies total, maybe.
I thought it was a little bit more than that. I thought it was like 4.
It was 4 and 4 and then 3. So I think.
Oh, okay, so yeah, 11.
Or maybe 2. So maybe it may have only been 10. Because I think there was 3 of the Grimlocks, the creatures from the creature you killed at the beginning was one of them, and then there were 2 more.
Yes.
And then there was eight soldiers or thugs or whatever.
Anyway, we destroyed them pretty handily.
You did. I wasn't trying. I wanted there to be some consequences
for our stupid actions.
But I, at the same time,
didn't want to murder us.
Yeah, I just wasn't trying to throw really hard because it was the beginning. It was kind of the beginning of the session. Didn't want the whole session to be a really hard combat. I want you guys to get a little further. So,
well, I think after that we ended up walking down the hallway, inspecting a little bit further. Found a hallway that ended at a dead end, and there was a rug there.
Yeah.
I think I rolled a nat 20 and inspected. Was it a trap door that was locked, or was it just a boarded up hole?
Boarded up hole.
So we smashed it, threw a light thing down there, saw it was very deep, and then completely ignored it.
And we're like, no, we're not going down there. And
went further into the structure that we were currently in.
Yeah.
Where we found prison cells with all the missing people from the villages.
Right.
Including the guy's son that was bugging us the first episode or first session.
Right.
They were Stephen and Caleb were talking with them, trying to figure stuff out from them. Come to find out what they were they wanted to be they had led they were led there by something.
Mm-hmm.
And then we found out a person was getting taken once a week or something like that, and they wouldn't see him again. If I remember correctly.
Yep.
Including the king, right?
No, there was the prince.
The prince. Sorry.
The prince.
And
I don't remember if I told you that or if it was supposed to be obvious.
I think you told us.
Okay.
I don't remember, but anyway, I think the prince was taken. I think she kind of told us, maybe. Yeah. I don't remember. Anyway,
the character, or the NPC.
Steph and I's character went and inspected another door further down because that's the door they said that they take them into.
Now where it left off.
Yes, and then we broke in. Did I pick the lock or did she pick the lock? I think
she picked the lock. You were about to, and then she shooed you off.
Yeah.
Basically.
Went in there. We saw a doctor scientist thing and one of the illithids on a table unconscious.
Like a converted illithid person, like a mind flayer. Someone had been turned into a mind flayer, but they're unconscious, laying on a table.
So then we learned from the doctor that they were turning these people into illithids, and for Lord. What was the Lord?
Oh, Lord Zelix, I think.
Zelix, some of those lines. I have it on my iPad. Lord Zelix, and he was doing it because I guess he was. I don't actually know if we ever got a reason why yet.
Why he was doing what he was doing? I think it was about. I think the scientist said something about him. Saving the race.
That's right.
Saving their
so something's going on
people.
There.
And then you were walking over. Mm-hmm. Your character is I walk over.
I was being very intimidating.
I draw a knife and I walk over, and he's like, "Don't do it." And, and I pull the knife out, and then he's like, "Don't stop." And then Intellect Devourer, which is basically a brain with arms and legs.
That's right.
That can get in your head and eat your brain and take over your body. Jumped out of the
doctor guy.
Of the doctor. So he was clearly being controlled by this thing to attack Jeremiah's character.
And just like with the tadpole pool, I rolled like dirt.
And he failed that roll, which he took psychic damage.
And I lost something, right?
Oh, you're going to be something for the rest of the day until you long rest or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Confused.
I'm pretty sure I have it down. I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, and that fight did not end. That's where we ended the night.
Mm-hmm. So I had it right there.
Have to see if anyone's brain gets eaten in the next session.
It'll probably be mine. Unless I'm rolling better. But yeah, so excited to see where that's going to continue to go. Learned about this new Lord guy, and the Githyanki seem to be behind. Not the Githyanki. I don't like why I keep calling them that. The Illithid.
Right.
Are behind the disappearance of the people, it seems like. So that'll be interesting. I'm excited. We'll hear more next episode, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned on the next episode of Bridge of Dungeons.
Dungeon of Bridges. Dungeons of Two.
See you in the dungeon. All right. Well, should we break and then we'll come back and do Return of the King?
Let's do it.
Welcome back.
Psychopomp.
From your break. Hope you all did what you needed to do. Came back.
Even though your break was probably like 3 seconds because we probably just cut right into this.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and open these up.
I want to read it first.
Okay.
Psychopomp is a Belgian-style mead brewed with European cherries at high temperatures to create a tart, full-bodied mead. Named after the beings that bring those from the land of the living to the land of the dead, and is extremely popular in both realms. Havoc Mead, a Psychopomp sour cherry mead. That sounds amazing.
I'm a little worried about the tart. I don't necessarily always love tart stuff, but you ready to try this? Get a little sniffy.
Let's do it. Ready?
Not what you're expecting.
Still smooth like every other one of their drinks so far.
The sweetness is a lot more clamped down. When you think cherry, you think sweet because it's fruit, and you definitely there's
sour too.
There's definitely cherry taste, a little bit of tart. A lot lighter on the carbonation than I expected. I think that just varies from batch to batch. I think it's something they're not. It's
good. The aftertaste is a little meh, but the drink itself is good.
It's definitely not hard to session. Is that the right term? You know, like it's easy to come back for another drink, for another sip.
Yeah, it's good. I enjoy it.
I don't think it's bad. It's just different.
Havoc Mead, Psychopomp sour cherry mead.
Yeah, so this is the same people, Gronfell. They have like a spin-off, so that the Havoc Mead is like they just try different things, a little more outside the box, I guess.
I'm about it. I like it. Cool. Delicious.
Thank you, Havoc Mead.
Yes, much delicious. Making great mead as always.
All right. So, Return of the Friggin' King.
Part 2.
Part 2. Episode, or a movie so nice, we had to talk about it twice.
Yes.
That's the only time we'll ever talk about this movie.
It will never be mentioned again in the entirety of the podcast. You all can hold us to that. If we talk about it again, you can sue us. Please don't actually sue us. We'll talk about it again.
Yeah. Cannot be helped. So, yeah, so last time we talked about all the characters minus Frodo and Sam.
Yes.
Basically that storyline, all those characters' storylines come together in Gondor because they're all fighting together against the forces of Sauron, trying to hang on, hoping Frodo is going to somehow come through. And then they get to the Black Gate, or they go to the Black Gate to distract Sauron, so that if Frodo's still in there, that he doesn't have a whole army of orcs in between him and Mount Doom.
Yes. Which
is kind of crazy.
Kind of.
They literally let them all they let the forces of Sauron completely surround them. That's something I always think about when they're charging. It's like, yeah, you're charging in one direction, but
they're surrounded.
They're surrounded. Like
that whole situation is just
tactically not great.
Yeah, tactically very just not good at all.
Yeah. It was just they just threw all their chips in. They just said either we're all going to go out in a blaze of glory, or something's going to happen with Frodo.
Well, I mean, Aragorn, even going in, Aragorn knew like we're doing this to hopefully take some eyes off of Frodo so he can go do his thing.
Yeah.
Totally banking on the fact that Frodo's still alive. Like they don't even. The last they heard was from Faramir.
They knew he was gonna make. He was pretty close to making it into Mordor because he was taking.
Yeah, they still didn't know that he was in there. How close he was, if he was even still alive after the 2 days. You know. When Faramir last saw him.
So it ended. We ended with Aragorn's statement. He said for Frodo, and they charged. Now let's
flash cut.
Let's rewind back a little bit and just talk about where Frodo and Sam kind of start in Return of the King. In the Two Towers, they are making their way. They're having a really tough time.
Making my way downtown, walking. I'm sure I can make
somehow like Lord of the Rings-ify that.
Mordor's to the east.
Yeah.
Making my way down east.
Here comes Smeagol. So
walking slow. But look at those dark clouds. I can't. Give me time.
So the Gollum has his own designs. He's been trying to.
Oh, sorry. I'm back on track. I'm sorry. Continue.
Gollum's been trying to get to them and get the ring back. Can't let it go.
No.
And
the draw of the ring it drives people insane.
Yeah. And so he catches up to him. They subdue him. Basically make him promise. He basically says he offers up his services so that I can help you get into Mordor if you let me live. And they're kind of like desperate because they've gotten lost. They don't really know which way they're going. They don't know how they're going to get into Mordor. It's a very abstract concept when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's like, we need to get into Mordor and throw the ring in the Mount Doom. And then you get separated from everybody, and it's like, how are we actually going to do that?
I mean, dude, it's journey before destination, man.
There you go. Comes first.
It's about the journey, not the destination.
That's right. So they get up to a point where, in the movie especially, they really play on the Smeagol Gollum personas as like split personalities. I feel like it was a little more subtle in the book, but definitely was there. It was just a little more subtle. I think they indicated it by the color of the eyes of Smeagol, like pale eyes or green eyes. There's like a green light that would come into his eyes when he was Gollum or whatever.
I like that little mix too. It's interesting.
Yeah. So they kind of got Smeagol on their side, and he kind of swore off Gollum, which was like, in the movie, it was like he was headed towards a redemption arc. Mm-hmm. Which I think the Two Towers made Gollum like he was a really fan favorite after that movie.
I believe it.
People really liked Gollum. He became a huge icon of a character. The way he talked and his...
Well, Andy Serkis did a fantastic job.
He really did. So, yeah.
I mean, that definitely helps.
I mean, they really did, try to build in this sympathy for him.
You just kind of like Frodo, you do feel sympathetic for him, I mean, he is...
Which is very important.
Which is understanding the story, especially from Frodo's point of view, who is currently, has the ring and understands its draw. I mean, you can understand why it feels sympathetic for him because it has, riddled his mind. And
yeah,
I mean, it basically created this whole new persona that is driven by the ring, and so you do find a little bit of sympathy for him throughout the movies and the books, definitely the movies. Well,
it's fitting. It's fitting because the pity of Bilbo is Gandalf says in the first movie, the pity of Bilbo may rule the fate of men. The pity of Bilbo, because Frodo says the pity Bilbo didn't kill Gollum when he had the chance, back when Gollum's first following them in the Mines of Moria, and Gandalf says it was pity that stayed Bilbo's hand. And the pity may rule the fate of men. So it's very fitting that they really build in the pitifulness of Gollum, and that Frodo even starts to pity him.
Yeah, foreshadowing too. A little bit of foreshadowing, but I mean, even Frodo's pity towards Gollum kind of determines the fate because we'll get to that.
Even Sam's to an extent. As much as Sam can't stand Gollum and Smeagol, and as much as he just doesn't trust him. I was reading this in the book because I was kind of like just trying to compare, and they're at the end whenever they're running up the mountain. Sam has Gollum dead to rights. Frodo's running up to go destroy the ring, hopefully, and Sam's looking at Gollum, and Gollum just says, don't kill me. I'm just pitiful to, whatever. And Sam pities him, just like Frodo did, just like Bilbo did. And, that's very, very important, but we'll get to that. But yeah, so the ship for Gollum to have a redemption arc sails when, in a moment of very hard, Frodo being put in a very hard spot with the Faramir and his rangers, don't say they're going to have to kill Gollum. And Frodo says, I'll lead you down to them, just don't kill him. Gollum doesn't understand what's going on. All he sees is betrayal, which allows his other persona, Smeagol, sees betrayal, and which allows Gollum to swoop back in and say, see, I told you they would trick you. I told you they'd lie to you.
Which, once again, is another act of pity on Frodo. Instead of just letting Gollum get killed,
Which that always bugs me when I'm in the movies. Not in a annoyed way, but like... Just like, no, he was actually trying to save your life.
I know, yeah. But that's what power does. That's what corruption does. It makes you believe things that aren't true, aren't real. Especially when you don't understand the whole story, jumping to conclusions.
Yeah, and all he knew, all he knew was betrayal. For so long, and he expected people to. He knew he was a kind of a hateful creature, and he just expected people to hate him.
It also didn't help too that, you gotta think in his mind, he was full, for the most part of it, up until his sort of redemption, he was planning on betraying them.
Oh, yeah.
So then it's almost like common nature for him to now they just betray him.
Assumes I'm going to be betrayed because I'm planning on betraying them.
And then as soon as something looks like it, he's like, well, they betrayed me. And then Gollum takes back over.
Yeah. Well, so in Return of the King, I don't really have much pity for Gollum at all in Return of the King because he's gone full on, I'm going to betray them. Even Smeagol is talking about, is giddy at the chance to get the ring back. He's fully on board with the plan to...
Not only that, but you start off with that initial scene of actually seeing how Smeagol got the ring, and you kind of start to lose pity for him then.
Right.
To an extent. You understand, once again, it's the ring's fault, it's the ring's power, but, he just straight up murders his friend.
There's something there, I think. Obviously, there is a corrupting power of the ring. I don't know, is the ring exerting its influence? Like, did the ring just turn up the influence to 11 right then and there? Or is it that there was something within Gollum or Smeagol that he was so immediately consumed by it, Whereas you have Bilbo finds it, he's not trying to murder someone immediately.
Frodo's not trying to murder someone.
Not trying,
No one who necessarily holds the ring is trying to just murder someone immediately.
And Smeagol didn't even have it. He saw Deagle with it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like someone was trying to take it away from him. He was trying to take away from Deagle.
That's true. That's true. There probably was something in there already that the ring was able to grasp onto.
Yeah.
And
I think there was. I think that he already was kind of a character that was on the fringes.
Yeah.
Of his little circle of, kind of.
I do like that his friend's name is Deagle. Smeagol and Deagle.
Smeagol and Deagle, yeah, they just didn't have a lot of...
It was literally like the movies, whoever made the name was just like, oh gosh, Smeagol.
Well, that's in the book too, so it's Tolkien.
Tolkien's just like, Smeagol. He's like, I've already made a whole language, just Deagle it is.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so...
It is interesting. It is kind of interesting how, like, at the end of the Two Towers, you do kind of have that sympathy for Smeagol, and he like you said initially, he kind of got rid of that Gollum persona, and then that betrayal kind of pushed it back into it. But then it's almost interesting they immediately, at least in the movies, immediately pushes back into the first scene is showing Smeagol killing Deagle for the ring. Yeah. And it kind of almost immediately takes that sympathy away, and then you start to just see even more, and you're like, okay, I have zero sympathy for you now. Gollum.
Well, I think that was a big part of. You remember in the Fellowship of the Ring, Gandalf says that Smeagol hates and loves the ring as he hates and loves himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he in The Hobbit, he calls it his birthday present.
Mm.
And it's all and Gandalf says this in the books too. It's all, there's this guilt. He doesn't want to admit that he murdered his cousin for it. He's trying to kind of reinvent how he got the ring, that it was his birthday present. And justify, or at least justify why he should have gotten it because it was his birthday. Even like he does in the scene, he's like, "It's my birthday, and I want it, so give it to me." And I think that's really part of where that Gollum persona comes from is loneliness and guilt. He's lonely and he feels guilty and he doesn't want to admit that guilt. And so out of it comes this, other persona.
But then throughout all this as well, you have Sam and Frodo, and Sam, bless Sam, I love him throughout all three movies. I love him a lot in the Return of the King. But you even have Frodo. From the first scene they show Frodo, you can already see that the ring is just getting more and more into him, and it's affecting him more and more. You see it in his eyes. You can see. I mean, the movie itself portrayed him very well. Yeah. I think them worn down, beaten down. He's even got like the red scar marks from the necklace from the ring hanging down.
Yeah, the weight of like a physical weight to it. And
that's just such detail that I love, and just how Frodo acts and everything like that. I mean, it really just shows the weight that Frodo's carrying and how the influence that the ring actually does have on him. Yeah. I mean, the friendship of Sam to just like constantly have an uplifting spirit almost the entire movie. And going into Mordor, he's like, despite doing all this, he still almost seems to be uplifting. Sam's definitely one of my favorite characters.
Sam, I mean, yes, Frodo's burden was beyond what Sam could understand, not having had to bear it that whole way, and what it was doing to Frodo, and how it was altering his perception of things, and messing with his mind, and all that. But Sam's carrying a burden too. He's and you start to see it in the Two Towers, especially in the Fellowship of the Ring. He wants to come with Frodo because he wants to help him. He wants to be there for him. And then as the movies go on, you see he starts to realize this burden, how it's changing his master, what it's doing to him, and he can't help him. He can't stop what's happening. All he can do is try to be there, be faithful, be a friend, which is great. It's what Frodo needed. Mm-hmm.
A faithful friend, a friend who's not going to leave at the slightest hint of
because
whatever.
Ultimately, what was happening to him, there was no avoiding. Mm-hmm. The ring has a will of its own. It's trying to survive, and it wants to get back to Sauron, and it's just constantly manipulating and messing with people. Like if you have the ring, it's constantly trying to play on whatever it can to get you towards whatever it wants.
And I think it's very interesting with Sam too. It's almost just like, it almost seems like, at least up until pretty much the end of the Return of the King, it still almost seems like Sam doesn't fully understand the weight of everything going on. Yeah, like he does, but he does at the same time. Like, because he's talks about like, well, we need to have enough for the return journey.
Yeah, and Frodo just looks at him like,
it's just like you throw out all this. Like I said, even the uplifting spirit, I almost think is a sense of yes, being uplifting, but also just like not fully understanding the gravity of what's happening. Not in a bad way, right? Up until that pretty much near the end, where he's just like, and that I don't know. I love Sam's character, especially throughout the Return of the King. A lot happens with Sam's character in Return of the King.
Yeah, things are like, for Sam, things just slowly are slipping away. Mm-hmm. You're very right. Like he wants to just get the mission over and get back to the Shire and everything go back to the way it was, and see marry Rosie Cotton, and have things be like they were, and save the Shire. And the further things go, he sees Gollum, what's happening with him, and he can't get Frodo to realize it. And I think Frodo knows to a certain extent, like, no, I shouldn't trust Gollum. I can't completely trust Gollum, but we can't just send him away. Yeah, we can't just lose him. We need our guide.
And pity, once again.
Right, and they
need a guide, but he wants to believe that
Smeagol can be saved. Yeah,
I think part of that too is because, I mean, if you think about it, he does want to believe that Gollum can be saved as well, and part of that's probably because he's so influenced by the ring too. He wants to believe that he can be saved, right? That he can be brought back. He sees
himself
because he definitely sees himself in Gollum. And you definitely notice that in how he interacts with Gollum, and with Sam, how Sam interacts with Gollum, and how Frodo interacts with both of them interacting. Yeah. Because almost throughout the entirety of the movies, with Gollum and Frodo and Sam is not trusting of Gollum at all.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too, thinking about this whole dynamic of Frodo, Sam, Gollum, and think about people who carry burdens, who have walked through hard things, right? And you can have all the support and love around you, and you can still feel alone.
Absolutely.
Because you feel like people don't know what you're going through. You feel like people can't relate. They say that they feel bad or whatever. They try to relate, and just knowing that they haven't been through that, it can be hard for people to...
That, and your mind is clouded by circumstance.
Right.
You know, your mind, when you have these things going on, your mind is going to be clouded.
Right.
You're going to feel alone. Even if you can have someone come to you and literally be like, I know exactly how you're feeling, you're still going to feel alone.
Right.
To an extent, you know, I mean, you can be brought out of it, but if you're deep in it...
Makes me think... But then if you have someone who has been through the exact... If you hear someone start talking about they've been through the same thing, and they start talking about it, and it starts to resonate, it can... That person, people will latch onto that person, and even though that person may not have been there for them like other people, shown love for them like other people, but just there's that connection there that people want when they're going through hard stuff. It actually makes me think of Kaladin in Rhythm of War, when he finds the people that are like having have depression, and they just put them up in this one part of the tower where there's no light, because they try to keep them because if anything stimulating them will make them upsets them more and all this stuff, which they're actually making them worse. And he starts to talk to that one guy, and he just basically says what that guy feels. And whenever he says that, it kind of makes the guy realize, like, I'm not alone. I think Frodo wants that. Unfortunately, all he can get out in Mordor is Gollum.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of what's going on a little bit, too. It's just, Gollum has been in some way, he's felt what Frodo's felt.
Yeah.
But, so what do you think about, if I'm not skipping anything, what do you think about the whole thing with Frodo sending Sam away? How do you feel about that?
It breaks my heart every time.
Yeah.
Oh, it absolutely breaks my heart. I don't know. It's one of those things where like, it irritates you because you're like, you know that Frodo's wrong. So you're like, Frodo, why? Like, why are you doing this?
Right.
But it's just, he's being corrupted by the ring. His judgment is being clouded by the ring. They're so close now, which means it's even going to be getting even worse. And he just makes a bad decision.
Yeah.
It's horribly sad, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it shows that, like, even I don't know, that scene just always breaks my heart every time, because Sam has been such a loyal friend, and Sam has always tried to do his best for Frodo, and then to have Frodo just kind of throw him aside as soon as whatever, at the word of Gollum, nonetheless.
I said whenever I was watching this with my wife, I was like, the greatest oversimplification in all of like cinema for Frodo just be like, go home.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's do you realize where we're at, right?
You realize how far I've traveled, and you're just like, go home, But my wife said, when I said it, she said, one does not simply go home. Which I wrote down because it cracked me up.
Oh, that's funny.
Which is true. It's like, you can't just tell Sam just to go home.
Like, do you not realize?
All the trouble he went through to like get through here and to not die here and all this stuff, and like to get through the dead marshes and all that. It's like, you can't just go home.
It really makes you think too, like, what was Sam? I mean, what was Frodo thinking in that moment? Because what it happened because Gollum threw the bread over the edge, sprinkled some crumbs on Sam, and Sam
was he actually thinking that Sam was actually stuffing his face?
Throughout this entire trip, where like literally Sam is just like, no, Master Frodo, you eat. I'm okay.
Yeah, right.
And then all of a sudden he's gonna pig out on all of the bread.
Just one night. He just
and I get that he's like the ring is corrupting his mind and he's not thinking straight. But like, come on now. Like,
yeah, it's one of those scenes,
Frodo.
and I mean, you can do this with lots of movies. I mean, like when you take a scene and you just like pick it apart, you can pick apart lots of stuff. But this is one that it's almost easy to pick apart like right away. But here's another thing. Here's like a kind of an advocating for what happens a little more. So one thing I was reading when I was reading the book, some parts of the book near the end, to see how the book characterized things near the end of their journey. One thing that was really interesting is how the ring like messed with your mind and like would make you see things and think things were going on that weren't going on. It would like you'd like hallucinate things. So, for example, Frodo, when he's in the tower of Cirith and Sam tells him, I took the ring because I thought you were dead, you know, and then Frodo kind of loses it for a second because he realizes someone else has the ring and he just wants it back and he's like, give it back. It says, I don't remember if it was Sam or Frodo, but they looked at, they saw, I think it was Frodo, Sam appeared as like an orc. He like Frodo, through Frodo's eyes, Sam looked like he was an orc, like pawing at, and like getting ready to whip him, you know, which could have been some PTSD, but it's also just the ring's influence. I think Sam had a similar thing where he was like, Frodo looked like, you know, some horrible creature or something. So the ring can actually in a critical moment of temptation can make you see something like completely different than what's actually happening. And so you could argue like, and it kind of, the way they shoot that scene where Sam starts talking and Frodo's like his eyes are like zooming in on Sam's lips and Sam's like, I could carry it for a while, you know, share the load, you know, it's really showing that like what Frodo's seeing and what he's getting is, which I don't really think that, you know, like Frodo wasn't sending him away because of the crumbs or anything.
Yeah, I know.
He was sending him away because he saw a threat to the ring.
Yeah.
Sam wants it. He's going to take it from me. And I think the ring really was playing with his mind, and he you know, so you could argue that Frodo had Frodo had very little capacity to think very logically.
Yeah, that's very
because
true.
of what the ring was the pressure of the ring was constantly putting on his mind, you know. And I think that you can see they try to show that in the movie, like there's just this constant haze kind of fog that Frodo seems like he's in.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that, making it look like that
until he gets to the, you know, top of the tower, the top of the stairs, and he's like, it kind of hits him. He's like,
it's interesting too, that scene. It does. It seems like it almost seems like walking into that almost clears his mind for some reason.
Jerks him out of it. Yeah, he's
just like, wait a minute, like this is
not
not good. He even says like, you know, Frodo, you fool, or something like that, sending Sam away.
Yeah, he says listen, I'm so sorry, Sam. Yeah,
you know, and then gosh, friggin' ever loyal Sam is crying, climbing down the stairs, sees at least in the movie, sees the breadcrumbs, and it's just like, no, I'm not gonna let my friend just send me away. He needs me, and goes back up like a boss into who knows what, you know, because he knows something's going on. Yeah,
Sam turns into, this is where Sam really, I mean, Sam was a very heroic character already, just his loyalty, his friendship, but it's almost like his loyalty and his friendship at this point become these tangible, they like become these tangible skills that actually propel him into being a friggin' warrior.
I think this moment too is really where Sam breaks out of that thought of, I think this moment is when he really understands what's at stake, what's going on. He has seen Frodo's officially kind of at that moment, and at that moment has officially kind of lost it, sent him away, knowing that he didn't do anything, you know, and he realizes like, oh, there's a lot more at stake, and instead of slinking back and running away, he runs headfirst into it, and that shows true courage and true heroship.
That's a really good thought too, because if you think about it, up until this point, Sam, he helps Frodo, but he really kind of lets Frodo take the lead. And at this point in the movie and in a lot of ways in the book, he says, okay, he kind of realizes, if my master's if we're gonna complete this mission, if we're gonna survive, if I don't want him to die, I'm just gonna have to take charge.
But not only that too, I mean, you think about it, because in a few scenes later, and a little bit later on, like I think the weight of what they're doing is fully hit him. of like they're here to destroy the ring for the sake of Middle Earth. Because you even think there's a point, I don't remember when it is, whether they're walking up the mountain or not. Frodo says something about the return journey, and Sam that's when Sam turns corners and goes, I don't think there is a return journey.
Right. Well, yes.
He's officially made that turn where like he understands the weight of this, and he knows that it still needs to be completed because it's not just their lives at stake, it's everyone's lives. Those are the Shire, those are their friends. He has this change where he's like he understands now, like, we're not just doing this for whatever. This is serious stuff, and I don't know, I like seeing that change. And then he, like I said, he really comes into his hero where he really becomes the hero, and like I said, the leader, where he takes charge, he rushes in, he freaking full on goes 1-to-1 with Shelob, is that her name?
Yeah.
The giant spider that I would crap my pants and run away from seeing. I could barely watch the scene without crying. I hate spiders so much.
So did Peter Jackson, apparently. And he made design the spider as scary as possible.
It's his fault. And just sitting there fighting it, like, just straight up, like.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but then following the orcs to the tower. And then, despite there being like a massacre of all massacring each other, still going in there and, run and train on the orcs that are still alive. You know, this is for Frodo. This is for the Shire. Yeah. It's just like he is really at this point. I mean, his mind almost seems to have switched. He's gotten very.
Switch has flipped. Whenever he.
He's just got. He fully takes the lead. He's fully like. My mind is set now. I know what we're doing, and we're gonna get it done. Yeah. To the point where he hands it back to Frodo, and then you even get the moment on the mountain, which is such a great scene where Frodo collapses and he goes, "I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you." Right. Picks him up and starts walking up the mountain. Yeah. I mean, like, he takes the lead.
Can't carry the ring, but I can carry the one carrying the ring.
I know. It was. Yeah. I was talking about it with my wife too. I was just like, I get it. I was like, but just think, if he just picked up the ring. So much lighter than Frodo.
Or is it?
Maybe physically it is, but
I think at that point you couldn't have taken the ring away from Frodo. It would have broke his brain. Mm-hmm. He would have lost his mind. I just think one thing I think is really cool about the Shelob fight I was thinking about is the sword Sting got its name in The Hobbit, killing giant spiders that are probably like
close relatives
of Shelob, maybe her children, I don't know. But like Bilbo was fighting the spiders, and when he had the ring on, he could understand them, and they said it stings, and so he named it Sting, and now he's fighting the mother of these spiders.
Now I'm curious
with the same sword.
Now I'm curious if one of them put on the ring, if they'd be able to understand Shelob.
Interesting. Maybe, maybe if you were gonna be,
because she's also an extremely old character.
Very old, yeah. From Ungoliant, her mother was the one who ate the 2 trees of Valinor that gave light to all of Middle Earth.
Nice. Man, that must have been delicious.
Not enough. But yeah, so that scene is just really cool from that perspective.
I never really thought about that. That's interesting.
Going back to, we talked about like D&D roles. Mm-hmm. Sam's rolling a lot of critical rolls in this fight.
Either that or the spiders rolling a lot of critical fails.
Yeah, the spiders rolling ones. Because, I mean, he's rolling out of the way of a giant friggin'...
Especially for someone who has never fought before. Like, yeah, he is.
Definitely never fought a giant spider before.
Let alone much of anything else.
It's just crazy.
You're right, though. That's funny. I think this is the exact opposite, where you have, instead of Legolas rolling a bunch of nat 20s, you have Shelob rolling a bunch of nat 1s.
That's true, because even in like the book, I think that when she basically, like, at one point Shelob like is going down to attack, and Sam's just holding the sword up, and the sword, she just like plants herself on the sword.
That was the 4th nat 1 in a roll, and the team was finally just like, all right, you are gonna get punished.
Yeah. You get stabbed in the organs.
Thorax. Your spider thorax.
Your thorax has been critically damaged. But yeah, so that's just I just love that entrance. That entrance is just one of the most epic entrances in all of cinema. Just Sam's hand with the sword coming into shot with Frodo being wrapped up by the spider. It's just like, you just know Frodo's gonna be okay because Sam's there.
Then you have like that heartbreaking moment though, where just like
He
Sam
thinks he's
goes,
dead,
it's like he goes, no, Master Frodo, and then you have the orcs come in. And just I love that shot of Sam, just like Sam, you fool. Mm-hmm. Like he knows he messed up to an extent. Like I mean, it's not really much he could have done, but and then you have the scene of him running to the tower,
charging the orcs.
I love just this is for Frodo. This is for the Shire.
And
this is for my
Sam
Uncle
has
Gaffer,
some great
like
one-liners at the end. Like he gets all the good one-liners in this part of the movie. And he I love the line when he gets to the top of the ladder that one orc's like telling Frodo to be quiet or he'll stick him like a pig, and Sam just like a sword. His sword just bursts through that. Not if I stick you first.
Yeah, and you see the blue.
The blue.
Gosh, I love it. Sam's great. I do like that. I do in the movie specifically. I like the scene though where Frodo's like, "It's over. He has the ring," and Sam's like, "I'm sorry. You're mistaken. I thought you were dead." And then Frodo asks for the ring, and you the movie. I think I like it. I don't know if they do it in the book, but the movie is like he almost like.
They focus more on Sam having a little bit
whatever, and I like that because it shows that even Sam, despite a lot of everything, is not perfect, and the ring has influence on him too.
Yeah, and that's very important.
I think that's such an important aspect of the entire story in general. Yeah, is that like nobody is perfect, and that this ring has the power to draw anybody and to warp anyone's mind. No one's immune. Because sometimes you have stories where you have the chosen one who's completely whatever, and he can, whatever, and all that good stuff.
It's not about, the one who can't be tempted. Yeah, it's that they just, the temptation just has no pull to them. The temptation does have pull.
It's about resisting that temptation.
They go as far as they can. And even getting close to the end here, we can just get there. They get up into Frodo has like a burst of energy all of a sudden when Gollum shows up, and he runs all the way up ahead of Sam.
Yeah, poor Sam just had to
fight off Gollum by himself.
No, he had to crawl all the way up the mountain with Frodo on his back, and all of a sudden Frodo's like, "Whoa,
sprint!"
I'm up.
Yeah,
Sam's just like, what?
Frodo has his second wind.
Yeah. I can just imagine Sam just being like, "Really, dude? Really?
You could have just run the whole time.
Like you had this energy in you. Yeah. Now he's got to fight off, And
then he's got to fight off Smeagol. And everything, but
Smeagol fights dirty.
Frodo reaches his limit. Frodo reaches his cap on resisting this. He's been resisting it the whole way, and in the place that it was made, its peak power, it takes him. The ring takes him, and Sam all he can do is watch in horror. His nightmares coming true.
The ring is mine.
Yeah, Frodo's claimed the ring, puts it on like a psycho in Mount Doom. All the ring race that are fighting the Eagles back at the Black Gate just lose their minds like, oh my gosh,
he's here.
So I think the movie even shows like Sauron's eye, like panic mode, like zooms in on, and even like the book talks about in that moment, like Sauron is just like,
oh crap,
like it just never entered into his wild imagination that someone would try and take the ring and destroy it. Like the ring, the hold the ring had on people, and the temptation it had. He always believed someone would try to rival him. Someone would try to take it up and use its power to rival him, like Gandalf or Aragorn or something like that. And so that's why he was focusing all his.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if in that moment he thought Aragorn had the ring.
Right.
Like it wouldn't surprise me at all if he thought that.
Like that Aragorn had the ring, maybe at the Black Gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And the pity of Bilbo comes full circle when Gollum himself, Sam comes to from getting hit in the back of the head by Gollum, and Gollum's riding Frodo like he's playing chicken, like on his, like
that is such a funny scene.
How did he climb up him? But
then he just bites that finger off. Oof, yummy.
But he does spit the finger out. Let it be known, he's not a cannibal.
'Cause he's a baby. Come on, if you're gonna bite a finger off, you gotta go big. Take it all away. Just eat that thing. If you're gonna bite one off, might as well just commit.
Yeah. So.
But this scene right here too is like, and the more I've thought about it, especially after watching it again and watching some videos like that, like this scene is such a good scene because it almost brings together everything that Tolkien was kind of part of what I think he was trying to get at in the story. There is kind of like a subversion of what you think is going to happen. You know, you assume in stories like this that good guy's going to throw the ring in the lava, he's going to win. But he doesn't. Frodo doesn't do it. Frodo goes, I know the ring's mine, I take the ring as my own. That hero just basically got to the very end and said, nope, it's mine. Frodo failed. Frodo never actually succeeded in his quest. You know, and I love that because it shows, and you know, obviously we know Tolkien was a Christian, and had those beliefs, and obviously he wrote that into a story. You know, this really shows that, like, despite anything we do, you know, we're gonna fail, or we can't. We have that you know, despite how hard we try to do the right thing, we can fail. But then you also have, once again, the pity, like I said, the pity of Bilbo with Gollum or Smeagol. You know, that what the objective was, what was supposed to happen, still occurred, but it wasn't due to anything that that Frodo as a person did or Sam as a person did. I mean, yeah, they got it to Mount Doom, but ultimately, like, without he still failed. You know, but the ring still was destroyed.
There's a term that Tolkien coined for this phenomenon, especially in fantasy stories, which he said was a key component to true fantasy stories. The term is eucatastrophe, and it means good catastrophe. And he says it's the sudden turn, the sudden unexpected turn. Not the expected. You know, people expect good to win. But in the moment of this this utter failure, the person who was supposed to destroy the ring has become completely given over to it. The person who wants the ring, who's already completely corrupted, has it. The ring wraiths are closing in. All the attention is now in the place they don't want it. And in the book, Gollum's foot just slips, you know, and he falls. I don't mind the way they do it in the movie either. Yeah. They still Gollum still slips. It's somewhat due to, you know, them both fighting over the ring. But at the same time, the ring was not destroyed by any one person's intention. It was only destroyed by the intention of a higher good. Yeah. You know, which is what the idea of the eucatastrophe is that grace comes when there's no expectation or reason to expect it. You know, at the depth of your failure, you know, at the bottom of the pit, grace comes. What? Light comes, hope comes. You know, when everything just keeps getting darker and darker and darker, things turn around all of a sudden. That's not where you would expect things to go if you're living through that. You know, we sort of expect it in these types of stories, but I think that's because that is a feature of the way our creator has built into stories. We expect something good to happen, but it's not a given that it's going to happen. It's not deserved. It's not earned. It's, you know, pure grace. And the scene, I love this. It's not in the book, but I love it, and I prefer it. That Frodo is dangling by one hand. Yes. And he's broken. He knows he's failed. The ring has been taken from him, which probably I don't think he doesn't feel the relief of that in that moment. It's not till after they run out of the volcano that he feels the relief of that. So he feels utterly lost. Yes. And all he'd have to do is just let go. But Sam is there. And Sam just looks at him, and I just love that Sam says this. He just says, "Don't you let go. Don't let go. Reach." Sam is just, he may not. That's the moment when you do need someone.
Yes.
You do need someone that may not have been where you're at.
Well, man, he's almost even, thinking on it now, I mean, like, in a minor role, Sam's almost kind of taken on that, almost like that Christ-like persona of, like, you're on that cliff, you're hanging on the edge, and you're ready to let go. And then, when you're at your deepest, darkest point, then you have Christ reach down and say, don't let go, And
actually grabs you and pulls you up.
Yeah, not only that, but grabs you and pulls you up,
Even if you would try to, which I think Sam would have totally done.
Absolutely.
Sam would have gone over the edge trying to grab Frodo if he tried to let go.
Absolutely. And then, but also just shows, like, in a more mundane sense, like, it shows just, once again, the friendship of Sam, that, like, he watched his friend who sent him away not too long ago. Then he saved him, carried him up a mountain, got to this point. Then Frodo goes, "No, the ring's mine. After all this journey, forget you, the ring is mine, despite what we just went through." And then, even after all of that, Sam still goes over the edge and goes, "Don't you let go."
Yeah.
Like, man, that's,
heavy. Yeah, that's probably my favorite scene in the whole trilogy.
It is up there.
And I mean, it's a quick thing, but that moment, maybe my favorite moment, because it's not a full scene, really.
It's definitely one of my favorite moments
that's one of my moments that I get a little misty, if not overtly misty.
And by overly misty, you mean full on crying?
But just think about going back to what we were talking about earlier about, seeing someone carrying a burden and you want to carry it for them, but you can't. All you can do is just try to be there for them, and you want to say to them, "Don't let go." You want to be able to pull them back from the brink. If maybe they're there, maybe they're not there, you don't know. But if they are there, you want to be able to say that to them. You want them to hear someone say, "Don't let go."
I'll tell you, I mean, and this is getting probably a little bit more real than whatever, but, like, even recently, and I was with this person for like 10 minutes because my partner sat in the back with him. We had a call, man. It was to a house for unresponsive patient. Everyone on this podcast should know. I'm pretty sure they all know I work with an ambulance service. But I mean, this guy was, excuse my language, but he was pissed drunk. We woke him up and everything like that. We're like, my partner looked at him and said, "Hey man, what's going on? Why are you drinking?" This guy had just had medical procedures done. He goes, didn't really answer us, just started crying. My partner goes, like, are you trying to hurt yourself? And he goes, "No." He goes, "You just trying to, like, forget?" The guy kind of, like, nodded his head yes and was, like, crying. He's like, "Look, man," kind of like the same thing. It's just like, don't keep fighting, keep pushing. And my partner, I appreciate my partner for this. He stood up and he helped the guy. This guy was not dressed. We helped dress him. We got very personal with him and said, "Look, man, I know it's struggle. I know you're struggling with depression right now and everything that, but man, push through it." And then not only that, but, like, this is why I got off late on Monday. This is why we're doing the podcast now. That call was at 10 minutes before I got off shift, and we could have easily taken him to the closest hospital, just 5 minutes away. But my partner, and I agree with him, was like, "No, we need to take him to the hospital. It was about 25-minute drive." He said, "We need to take him there because those are the people that are going to help him. This other hospital cannot help him. These people have a psych unit there. They have psychiatrists there that'll help him with this problem." And it's kind of like that even in that moment, just like, don't let go. You're struggling and you're in a bad spot, but don't let go. Sometimes you need that person. Just be like, you need that one person, even if it's someone you've never met before, that is from an ambulance that's picking you up.
Sometimes it's better.
Yeah, just say, "Hey man, don't let go, man."
Yeah.
I know you're struggling, don't let go. And I don't think that guy said a single word to us.
Yeah.
Mind you. I mean, I'm sure he could talk, and we didn't have a problem. We got the information we needed from him to do our stuff, but we tried our best to take care of him, make him comfortable, and get him to the place that he needed to be. Despite, we got off, like I said, I think we got off like an hour and a half late that day, or an hour late, because we had to drive pretty far, but it was what this guy needed.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to do that, and I would hope that if I'm ever in that situation, which I hope I'm not, but that I would have someone, whether it's you or someone else, just be like, "Hey man, don't let go."
Right.
Yeah. And to an extent, I've had a friend I've been in a tough spot in a slightly less serious situation. My friend was like, "Hey man, don't let go. I'm gonna stay here with you. We're gonna get you up. We're gonna get you doing stuff. You know, kind of the same concept.
I mean, I think in those moments, the hard part for that person or for yourself, if you're the one going through it, is that you can't see past that moment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You can't see past that moment, or you just know this moment will come again. You know, I will be here in this hard place again that I don't want to go forward. And but at the same time, what you can't see in that moment is there will be other moments that you'll be glad, you know, that you did keep going. There'll be moments that if you can just push back past. And that's why you need someone like a Sam. You need someone who...
Absolutely.
That's why sometimes it's better. Sometimes you do need that person that's outside of that doesn't know what you're going through, but maybe they're a little bit naive, and they're just there to say...
They're willing to sit there and just say...
I'm not where you're at right now, and I'm saying you can be here. This is where you could be, and so you might as well push past this moment and get on to the next one, get on to a better one. You know,
we should all aspire to be a Sam.
Yeah, absolutely.
If ever, you know, be that friend, be that person that's not gonna, despite everything, even if you were hurt, you know, don't let go.
Yeah, don't let go, guys.
Let it go. I mean, don't let it go.
Thankfully, Frodo does not let go.
Yes, and he reaches.
Just
I love the scene. Reach. Ugh, the bloody hand. I'm like, ugh.
The bloody stump of a finger.
Yeah, that probably hurts.
Yeah. They run from lava.
To make it a little more lighthearted, every time I watch this movie, this scene, funniest memory of my life, for this movie is we were in the theaters watching this. Me, my mom, my dad, my brother. And you have the scene. Mind you, my mom's never read the books. You know, this movie had just come out, so she didn't know exactly what was going to happen. My dad's obviously read the books, you know, and everything like that. And I just remember we're in the theater, and they are on the rock with the lava around them. And you know how the scene, like, it cuts to black, and it cuts to black for like a solid 5 seconds. Yeah. It was long enough for my mom to go, "What? That's it!" Like really loud in the theater, and then it cuts back, and she's like, "Oh!" The scene, and that every time I see the scene, I think of that, and it makes me laugh every time. Oh. When
I was in the theater, I saw it at midnight showing. Did you guys see it at the midnight showing?
No, okay. I was young. I was young at this point, man. What? This is back in like what 2000 something when this
2003.
came out? 2000. Yeah, I was young, dude. I was like, oh gosh.
2.
I'm about to date myself. I'm not that young. Jeez. I was like, man, wow, I was young. I must have been really young.
I was 13.
It came out in 2003?
Yeah. December, I think, 2003. So I was 13.
That would have made me 6.
Man.
I saw that movie at 6 in the theaters? There's no way.
Yeah, it was totally 2003.
Go
ahead.
You might be right.
Go ahead.
Maybe I made this entire...
Challenge
I might have made this entire memory up.
You may have made...
I don't think so.
What, do you have the ring missing with your mind?
I mean, I have a lot of things missing with my mind, probably.
Well, so when I was in the theater...
Oh my gosh, you're right.
At the midnight showing, there's a lot of endings to this movie.
It made $1.146 billion in the box office.
Yeah.
December 17th, 2003.
I wonder when what the next movie to make that much money at the box office will be, with the way the movie industry is, like movie theaters and stuff. They're like, because of COVID and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
People aren't going as much. They're also releasing things out to other platforms, so people are like, oh, just stay home and watch it.
I miss movie theaters, man. I haven't been to a movie in a while.
Anyway, but so in the theater, all these endings happen, and then it fades to white, and then I think that's when it gets them back to Hobbiton.
Probably.
Because they do all these endings. They do...
Or no, go to Rivendell. I thought it faded to white into Rivendell, because then the white opens up to Frodo. Or maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Maybe it does fade to white and go to Frodo, but then it also fades to white later, and then goes to them in the Shire, and some guy is like in the back, goes, "Come on!" Like he's like tired of all the endings. I'm just like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? Like, this is a trilogy of movies. Like, we need some closure here.
I love it. That's
We
hilarious.
need to see that everyone's okay. But so you get They get the Eagles friggin' save the day again. They come. We'll need to talk about the Eagles at some point on a podcast.
I'm sure we will. Yeah.
There's lots of thoughts about the Eagles.
The Eagles that could have done so much throughout the movies that didn't do anything throughout the movies.
They did a lot.
They did nothing important.
They fought the ring wraith.
They could have done this.
They saved Frodo and Sam.
Why didn't they bring them? No, I'm just playing.
See, that's why we need to talk about this because it's very controversial. And yeah, but anyway, so they get back. You get that awesome sort of. It's like slow motion. Everybody's happy-go-lucky. So I always get a little chuckly about it because of seeing everybody in slow motion. Like reacting.
I like. It's such a happy
but it's
scene.
A very happy scene to see them all reunited.
And then, oh man, gosh! And then you see everyone's so happy seeing them reunited, and then Sam walks to the door, doesn't rush. Yeah. And you just see Frodo, and you just Sam.
Twinkle in his eye.
And Sam just stands there. But then we get to the coronation of the king.
Yes. And
this, teased from last episode, is where my favorite moment comes in.
You like the singing.
Yes, absolutely. Oh gosh. His Aragorn's singing was so beautiful, and that scene actually makes me laugh a lot because he just starts singing, and I'm like, "What's happening? Like, you were just what?" But you had the coronation of the king, and he's walking through, and he sees his love chick, whatever. That is like mentioned like 3 times in the movies, and it is what it is.
She's mentioned more in the movies than she is at the books.
I know, and she's not mentioned that much in the movies. But then you go and you have this scene. And Aragorn and his new bride or whatever, queen, go to and stand in front of Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin. These 4 hobbits, the only 4 hobbits in this crowd of humans and probably a couple elves. And they bow out of respect to Aragorn and everything like that. And Aragorn, being the true, wonderful king that he is, just says, "My friends, and you bow to no one," and then proceeds to bow to them. The king bows to them, and everyone else bows with them. And that if you want to know what scene almost drives me to tears, it's that one right there. That is my favorite. I don't know why. Well, I mean, I do. It's just such a strong scene, in my opinion. It shows a lot about every single character in this movie, in my opinion. And Aragorn, which is probably my favorite character in the movie, it shows a lot about him. But just they all are like, we know what you guys have gone through. Not we know, but like, you guys have been through so much. Like, you saved 4 hobbits who no one has thought anything of, because no one in the rest of the Middle Earth has really thought much of hobbits. Yeah. Even throughout the movie, they say a lot of times like it's something about hobbits of whatever. They like to sit in their holes and chill out.
They made their mark on Middle Earth.
And for sure. And you just have them, just like you bow to no one. And the king bows, and they all bow with him. And these hobbits are just standing there, dumbfounded. And that scene almost drives me to tears every time. I love that scene.
There's a theme throughout the books and movies of people didn't know, a lot of people didn't even know hobbits existed. Even Treebeard didn't know hobbits existed. Treebeard is supposedly one of the oldest, if not the oldest, sentient creature in the world, and besides the Valar and all those things, but he has all these songs about all these different creatures, and there's no songs for hobbits. But the world will never forget that the existence of hobbits after this, this whole ordeal. So it's definitely a great moment.
I love that.
Of recognition for them. I mean, think about Pippin. First of all, obviously, Pippin, we wouldn't be where we're at without Pippin. Because if Pippin didn't wake up the Balrog, Gandalf doesn't become Gandalf the White. Gandalf the White doesn't do all the things he does. Oh my
gosh.
So, Pippin, but also Pippin saves Faramir. If Pippin doesn't tell Gandalf Faramir's dying, there's no Faramir.
And then you have Merry, who kind of helped lead the Ents to war. Married.
Yeah, well, Merry
and Pippin, but Merry was very pivotal.
Merry and Pippin were very pivotal with the Ents too.
Yeah, leading the Ents to war.
Yeah.
Merry specifically, Merry was very strong of Pippin was kind of there, and he was definitely about it. But yeah,
yeah, and
he was very pivotal in that, and just the racking of.
What Gandalf said in Two Towers. that the arrival of Merry and Pippin will be like two small stones that start an avalanche or something like that, which he was right. And then you have Merry has a hand in defeating the Witch King.
That's very true.
And then obviously Frodo and Sam goes without saying what they accomplished. So 4 hobbits.
4 hobbits.
What can 4 hobbits accomplish?
And it just shows you that no matter how small you think you are, you can do great things.
Even the smallest person can change the course of the future.
Exactly. Just like Yoda.
There you go. He had the Force on his side.
Yeah, he led the Jedi to destruction.
That's true. Another podcast. Fool of a Yoda.
Fool of a Duke.
But yeah, so then they make it back to the Shire. And all is well, right?
And the movie's all as well.
Well, yeah. But even in the movies, yes, in the book...
In the book, all is not necessarily well in the Shire.
Tolkien was very interested in showing how evil, when you go abroad to fight evil and you come home, that you may find some of the things you were fighting abroad have come home and changed the home that you love, which I think is a great thing to look at. It was hard for them, I think, to kind of ramp things back up for the movie. In a movie, a very long movie, to ramp things back up for a whole other little arc.
It wouldn't have fit in the movie at all. The movie, I like the way the movie did too. They go back. I like that scene where they're in the bar and like these 4 have just went through so much trauma,
and nobody really knows.
Everyone's just living their life, and I also just love it too. We're just like, Sam is just like, puts his mug down, stands up, and goes over to the girl, and you just see,
not wasting any more time.
The eyebrows raised from the other hobbits. They start laughing. Frodo's laughing. It's just like one of those things. Just like, man, they're it's.
They get a moment. They definitely get a moment of like lifting the burden that they've all had been carrying. They're back home, and you get to have a wedding, hobbit wedding. And
the kids.
Pippin catches the bouquet. But even though the Shire hasn't been messed up, Frodo, it's still been messed up for Frodo.
Absolutely.
Frodo can't enjoy the Shire anymore. He can't rest anymore because of the burden he had to carry, the things he's seen, the things he's had to go through.
You'd probably have a good time with Kaladin.
Yeah, probably. He says in the book that he says something about people have to go off and they have to give things up in order to save them. And that's a very, Tolkien being a survivor of World War One, a veteran of World War One, I should say, and a survivor. He fought in the Battle of the Somme, which was like the bloodiest, most grueling battle of World War One. And everyone knows, World War One kind of already has a reputation for being just a brutal fighting in the trenches.
Yeah.
These no man's lands in between them that they have to charge through, where there's just mines and barbed wire and, rotting corpses and things like that. And in one of the most bloody ones, he survived. And people, soldiers that go off and fight a lot of times, and I don't have any grounds to really speak much on this, but it's, I think a theme I've picked up on and heard people talk about how it's hard to come back from war and to see when you've seen the evil, the horrible things that you've had to do, the horrible things that you've seen happen to your friends, and to come back and to try and
really kind of integrate back into society. Because I think, and I obviously don't know, I haven't gone this way because I've been to war or anything like that. I've been in the military, but like I've definitely read books. I've talked to different people who have been. I've read different things about because I was going to go in the military at one point and I've read about these things and studied up and talked to different people. And there are even people, special forces guys too, who have like seen crappy of the crap, who have like they don't want to come home. some of them don't want to come home.
Right.
They're like, I want to stay. I want to go back for another tour. I want to go back. I can't integrate back into society because I'm so far in depth in this, and it has influenced my life so much in this way that like, I can't just come back. I don't know how to come back. Actually, a good example of that is the book and movie American Sniper. Yeah, where he struggles with that. I mean, if you ever seen it or read the book, I mean, he struggles with that a lot of coming back to his family, to his kids, and to just
physically coming back, but mentally it's hard to come back.
And they do. I think they do a good job with that. I think you definitely kind of get that vibe from Frodo. Yeah, and it makes sense from everything that Frodo's gone through, as well as I'm sure, like even after the ring's gone, I'm sure he still to an extent feels.
Something was ripped
away, you know? Because he did, I mean, I think once again, at the end there, he fully gave in, you know? It fully took control, which means having that ripped away now, it's going to feel...
And that's a burden. You think about the ring as the burden, as a burden, but in the end, maybe the greatest burden that Frodo carried was what he was allowing the ring to do to himself. So that nobody else would have to bear that burden. So nobody else would have to have that ripped away. Have the darkness poured into them, and then ripped away.
Which, if you think about it too, going all the way back to Fellowship of the Ring, back before the party, the Fellowship even just went out. You know, when Frodo stands up and says, "I'll take the ring," and you have that scene of Gandalf, and he almost looks like he closes his eyes like this. I don't think, and a lot of people can see it like, oh, you know, he's about to go into danger, go to Mordor and everything like that. It's like, no, I think Gandalf realizes like this is going to have a toll on on who he is. Not just going into Mordor, which sucks, but he's like, but I think Gandalf understands to an extent, like this ring is going to change him and not for the better. Yeah. You know, and I think that is why his eyes are downcast in that scene, why he is so troubled by this. He didn't want Frodo to have to deal with that.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I wrote down, the burden is gone, but the scars remain. Yeah, he has that. He has the that he's like massaging the shoulder where he was stabbed by the witch king, or the ring wraith stabbed him. It's been like, I forget how many years. He said it had been 3 years or something like that to the day.
I think it was 3 years to the day.
And every anniversary it hurts. And then he's got the ring finger that was bit off. He has these physical markers of what he went through that kind of remind you and remind him of what he's gone through, that, like he even says, there are some hurts that go too deep. They've taken hold. That he can't, he destroyed the ring, but the evidence of the burden and the horrible things he went through, he can never forget those things. He can never completely come back from those things. He's a different person. He gave up who he was, you know, he gave up the innocence and all that to destroy the ring, and he came back as somebody who couldn't enjoy the Shire anymore. So, which, you know, yesterday was Hobbit Day.
Was it?
Hobbit Day is Frodo and Bilbo's birthday. It's also the same day that they went to they sailed west. It was on Bilbo's birth, you know. I think Bilbo says something about that, about how old he is. That he just surpassed the old Took or something like that in his age. And so, while a lot of people were talking yesterday, a lot of like nerds were talking about, you know, happy birthday Frodo and Bilbo. There's a very symbolic date there as well to consider. It's the day that they left this world behind that gave them so much trouble, especially Frodo. You know, and went to the West, which was a land that was reserved for those who wanted to be free from the cares and the difficulties of Middle Earth. That's a tough scene.
That is a tough scene, especially with all the hobbits crying to like Merry and Pippin and Sam. You know.
Yeah, they don't get it, and Sam's just, you know, he's just beside himself. You know, he wanted to be able to save Frodo, and he still couldn't save him. You know, he saved him, but he wanted that to mean more than... Yeah. Wanted them to be able to just be like old times, you know, grow old together, you know, raise families together and all that. But interesting, too. Gandalf's leaving. I mean, Gandalf finished his job.
That's true.
He's going. He gets to rest. He gets to go rest from his weary journeys. The Ringbearers, Galadriel and Elrond leave too. because their power is over. They don't like, at least the power of the rings they have.
Yeah.
So their realms are going to start fading. It's a poignant scene, you know. It's got a mixture of emotion and just beauty. Is there any more that needs to be said about Return of the King?
Man, I don't think so. At least not right now.
Well,
this has been Return of the King.
This is our
just Lord of the Rings. Episode. This is the last Lord of the Rings episode for right now.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get back to, you know.
We'll come back to it at one point.
Yeah, when we have something to talk about, a topic, or maybe another Tolkien book or whatever.
Maybe we'll go back and have a conversation about some of the lore.
Yeah,
that takes place before the movies.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for joining us with it. I've really enjoyed watching all the movies again, especially the extended editions. That has been so much fun. My wife and I both have loved it, giving me a new desire to know more about Lord of the Rings than I do. Hope you guys have watched along as well, or have watched, and if you guys have enjoyed these conversations, these talks.
Yeah,
liked our thoughts.
We're not done. We have more podcasts to share with you.
Oh, absolutely.
So please tune in next time. Tell your friends about us. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll keep churning them out as we do. So,
ready.
This has been the Bridge of Two podcast.
A far, far away bridge. Nailed it.
That song, Into the West, that gets me. The song that at the end, during the credits.
Oh.
What can you see on the horizon? I got a little off key there.
La la la.
There you go.